Personal question, which is I'm hoping it's going to apply to some other people too. All afternoon we've been talking about how important meditation is in so many different ways. I mean, for stage development, for all kinds of things. And my experience also is that meditation was great. I had a guru for a number of years, and then I read One Taste and put together my own sort of ITP, ILP, whatever.
Yeah.
And everything was fabulous for about 5 months.
Yeah.
And then, all of a sudden, I started having major panic attacks and heart palpitations.
Yeah.
And really, to use a cliche, kind of feel like I'm walking on the borderline of madness. Really scary stuff. And I guess the thing is, it's like what ended up happening is I sort of stopped my meditation practice. I still do the rest of my ITP, ILP, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's really kind of, I feel really stymied because I notice that I'm better with my kids. I have more patience. My mental acuity is better. All this kind of great stuff when I'm meditating, except these really horrible, scary things that are also occurring at this, sort of simultaneously. And I haven't met anybody else who's ever seemed to. I talk to people. I started this Denver meetup, and it's like, oh, meditation is so great. But I haven't seemed to find anyone who's had similar scary kind of stuff going on, experiences. And I'm just wondering, I can't imagine I'm the only person. And so I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about this, or recommendations, or advice, or do I just push through this and it's going to go away if I don't go crazy? Anyway, any thoughts would be helpful.
No, it won't go away. And you are the only person So I'm not too worried. It's pretty common, what you're talking about. And there are a couple, even though people are not necessarily relating to what you're conveying to them, they're almost certainly experiencing something like this in different terms, in different ways that they might not see how it's similar to what you're going through. But to start with, if I understood this part correctly, meditation was going fairly well, and then you hit a stretch where you started getting things like panic attacks, and it became very rough.
Actually, it was amazing. For when I really started doing the ITP or ILP, it was tremendous. Really a lot more deeper understandings and just, my own personal spiritual understandings, and really, I was able to make much, my body was stronger. Just everything was great. All these different realms of my life. It was like, wow. And then all of a sudden, went away on vacation, expecting, oh, this is great, I'm gonna relax on the beach. And instead, I felt like I was gonna, my husband's like, no one's ever died from meditating. And I was like, well, that's how I'm a total panic and really in heart palpitations. All kinds of psychosomatic and somatic weirdnesses, pretty, like I said, and just this feeling like, oh my God, I'm seriously going insane.
Yeah. What was the most physically, or emotionally uncomfortable part of some of this? And again, just generically, was it some of the actual panic attack feelings, or?
Yeah, a lot. I think it's a lot of it. It's just the actual, symptoms that come up with anxiety, feeling like I'm gonna literally die, I'm gonna pass out and that's it. I'm never gonna wake. I don't know, whatever. It's kind of funny talking about it, I guess, now in front of 1 million people, but. And I think actually the scariest, the physical part is, is scary, but, it gets to the point where it's like, okay, this is just anxiety, it's okay. But the scarier thing is this kind of feeling like I'm losing my mind sometimes. I don't know how to put it into words, but just this fear oh my God, there's no ground underneath me, and I'm totally I can't really explain it, but this feeling of I'm literally going insane. And so it's too scary. I sit down and, I sit to meditate, and I just start getting anxious, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do this tonight, and I really do feel stymied, like I said, because on one hand, all my life, I've just been so, I just have this compulsion to, to grow, and, spiritually especially, which is scary to my parents who are atheists, but anyway, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me address one or two things, and if you want to follow up, if I don't address some of the things that you want to just bring them up again. Here's a generic statement about what happens when you undertake meditation and you actually begin to grow. Because there are two different directions that you can grow. And one is these vertical structures. And these are so well understood and they're really fundamentally important, but they're the kinds of structures or stages that have been investigated by Carol Gilligan, Claire Graves, Kohlberg, even Piaget, and Robert Keegan, Jenny Wade, Patricia Arlen. There's a huge number of people that have done research on various aspects of these, but they're all structures of consciousness, and I keep referring to them vertically because they're classic stage conceptions, which are like atoms, molecules, cells, organisms. A molecule actually transcends and includes atoms. It actually envelops them. And cells transcend and include molecules. They actually envelop them. And, just as a side point, we call this vertical movement eros. And this embracing movement is agape. And eros tends to be associated more with the masculine, and agape with the feminine. But, of course, we all have different mixtures of it in us. But these are fundamental, that's one direction, is actually growing in these structures. And each structure gets bigger. So the holarchy, the nested hierarchy in a very positive sense now, not oppressive, it's the opposite, goes from things like egocentric to ethnocentric to world-centric to cosmocentric. And so that's one of the kinds of growth things that will be activated when you meditate or do integral transformative practice or integral life practice and so on. Another one is moving through states. And these broad states of gross, subtle, causal, and non-dual. The traditions have different names for them, but they're all bodies too. There's an actual energetic component to them. So in Buddhism, we have Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, Dharmakaya, Swabhavikakaya. These are gross, subtle, causal, non-dual. And these states are something you can experience at any stage. So you have two things happening when you meditate. One, your identity is moving, in a sense, vertically. And the other is, it's also moving through states, so horizontally. Now, each time you move from a major level or a major state, in most cases, it's experienced as a dark night. And if you're looking at the movement from gross meditative states, going from gross to subtle to causal to non-dual, you have a dark night of senses, a dark night of the soul, a dark night of the self, capital S, and then that suchness. And going through those dark nights are not pleasant often. And for some people in meditation, they move through it fairly quickly. Most people don't. Most people, if you look at somebody who's really doing Dzogchen to the point of waking up, or somebody who's doing Zen to the point of not only do they want to wake up, they want to be a Zen teacher. They go through generally 3 or 4 years of hell because it's not all fun. And so being able to develop that equanimity to move through those is part of what meditation training is all about. But getting off these states are how you get off of manifestation entirely. So you want to move through these states, and the more you do that, the more you are, in a sense, having done with samsara altogether. You're getting, in a sense, farther and farther away from it. But at the non-dual, you actually turn and embrace everything that's arising. Emptiness and form are not two. Every one of these switch points from these major states, because you're identified with one or the other, and as you start growing, it's going to rip your identity out of one and install it in another, and that's not fun. And the same thing can go vertically. So you can actually get introduced to, it can be very panic-stricken. You can have senses of complete loss. Depression is very common in moving through some of these. And you can do certain types of meditation that will help, for lack of a better term, the happiness component also kind of be present. But you're going to hit areas where it literally is a death and rebirth. And some of those are very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. So it's...
If you want to grow, you just have to go through the scary stuff and the fear, and you just keep going.
I'm sorry?
So if you want to continue your growth, you just keep going. I mean, through the, even if it's really petrifying and everything, you just keep going.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's about it. And that's where Sangha and teacher.
Yeah, I've had some bad experiences with a guru, so I'm kind of a little guru shy, but that's probably the best thing to do is to find a good teacher. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.